substance that we consume regularly that's actually very bad for your health? What if I were to also say that this substance is widely consumed among Americans and is considered perfectly acceptable to consume? Well, I can tell you that this has actually happened, and fortunately, because the cigarette companies were brought to the courts, we today can now have an honest dialogue about the health consequences of smoking cigarettes. We haven't eliminated cigarettes, but we've reduced their impact, and we have communicated, especially to our kids, that cigarettes can in fact harm you. This is not the case with another substance that we consume regularly, and that is milk. So today I'm going to try and convince you to give up milk for 6 weeks and see if there's any changes and if you feel like it's worth it. So why should you give up milk? Well, in my opinion, milk, in particular, and the dairy industry in general, is responsible for animal cruelty, environmental damage, poor nutrition, and worst of all, it's bad for our kids. So to talk about milk, the best way to do it is to start by talking about how we make milk. In order to make milk, you've got to get a cow to produce milk for you. If you want to produce milk for a large population, like the United States or the world, you're going to want that cow to produce milk as much as possible. The cows that produce milk for most of the Americas come from large commercial operations where cows are artificially inseminated regularly. They become impregnated, and once they have their calves are removed from them a day later. The females are returned to the dairy industry to have dairy cows, and the males are slaughtered for veal. The average cow will produce about 10 times more milk than is natural for it in an average day. And it does so while standing in a pen cooped up next to many other cows where diseases are very easily transmitted, requiring a great deal of antibiotics and medical intervention. There is one glimmer of hope for these cows that don't have a lot of genetic activities. Their lives are often short. Once they stop producing milk, about a quarter of their way into their natural life, so we can say that milk is bad for cows. But we can also say that milk is bad for the environment. If you want milk for the world population, you're going to need to find about 250 million cows. Each one of those cows is going to require about 25 gallons of water a day and about 20 pounds of food, of grain. 20 pounds of grain is about 2 acres. It takes about 2 acres to grow that for 1 year. The cow's appetite is so voracious that 1/3 of our grain crop in the U.S. goes to feed. We have to actually look outside the U.S. to find more land for us to grow our grain. And one of the best places to look is where the climate is wonderful year-round, like our rainforests. Our rainforests are currently being chopped down in order primarily to grow food for our animals to slaughter. So we can say that it's also bad for the environment. In addition, each cow produces on average about 100 to 120 pounds of waste a day. That's a lot of waste to deal with, and the challenges in removing waste that also include antibiotics and growth hormones that are not approved for human consumption is really challenging. All of the cows in California produce more waste than all of the humans in New York, in the metro area. That's a lot of waste. Bottom line, the milk is bad for our environment. But really, we should be talking about our health and our nutrition. That's how we started this by talking about cigarettes. Milk is not something that our bodies actually require. Milk has 10 times the fat and half the calcium of human milk. Milk is intended to bring a tiny calf to a 400-pound cow in 1 year. So if that's what you want for your kids, then a great product, whole milk. But not necessarily great for human beings. In fact, all of the nutrients found in milk can be found in other commonly consumed food items. Obesity is a huge problem in the United States, and there are many contributors, and I won't claim that milk is the first one or among the top, but think about the fat you consume on a regular basis. Why not make that fat count? Get a cupcake. Don't get milk. Milk also causes osteoporosis. Unlike many of the claims that are made publicly, when you look at the nations that consume milk around the world, those who consume less milk tend to have stronger bones. So we can say that milk is bad for our health. But that's okay, right? Because even cigarettes are bad for our health. We consume every once in a while. But what about our kids? What about our kids? Well, milk is bad for children too. Children are consuming more sugar now than they ever have in the past. Most of the milk consumed by children is done in schools. 70% of that milk is flavored milk. Chocolate milk, strawberry milk, with added sweeteners. The sugar content in one glass of flavored milk is higher than a soda. What a great opportunity to cut down the fat and the sugar in our kids' diet and to eliminate that. Also, most of us are not tolerant of milk. About a quarter of Americans are completely intolerant of milk. They're lactose intolerant. And 75% of Americans actually have a mild intolerance. And many of us just fight through it. So milk is not necessarily something our bodies crave or are ready to process. The bottom line is cow milk is for baby cows, not for baby humans. So we talked about how the milk is bad for cows, it's bad for our environment, it's bad for our health, and it's bad for our kids. So I'm urging you to take Jason's milk challenge. Stop drinking milk for 6 weeks. If you feel